ReThink podcast, and this is we're rethinking. Typically, we rethink what we've talked about on a Sunday, a teaching kind of thing, but we're not doing that. This is totally different. This goes back to our old days as outdoor podcast people.
I wasn't even on that.
You weren't on that.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah, no
You're
problem.
not really supposed to be on this one, but you get to sit here with
Oh, yeah. I was like, I definitely want to be a part of this. So.
But we did on that podcast, we talked to Ron Slifer.
Yep.
Several times, and he was a big part of that. And we put on a couple of banquets, which we're going to do again.
That's awesome.
And he spoke and does dog tracking. Probably don't have to introduce you, Ron. You're a celebrity.
Seems to be right now lately with what's recently happened anyway.
Well, that's why we wanted to have you in and do a special podcast.
That's why we brought some Casey's Donuts.
These guys, perfect. When you sent me that text picture earlier, there's no way I'm missing this. I'm going to be right here. You bribed me with Casey's Donuts.
A dozen a day, Ron.
You guys knew.
But you got to be careful because you're not tracking right now.
True.
Okay.
And a dozen donuts will start to add up.
But I do see the diet one there with the sprinkles on.
Yeah.
That's a diet, special diet. That one's mine.
I was going to say no carbs or sugars in that.
Yeah.
So.
Special donuts from
Jeff
Casey's.
got those special.
They
blessed
are tracking fuel.
That is right. Absolutely. And there's a Casey's in every little town. You know,
True.
that's what makes it.
Are all the donuts the same?
pretty close?
I was going to say, I
pretty
didn't.
close.
Yeah, is there a,
Consistency.
He knows.
is there a
Ron
quality?
knows.
Is there a quality
what's
rating?
Yeah, there is. But what's a bummer is some of the Casey's don't have ice cream, and some of them do. You know, it's such a bummer when you go to one they don't have the ice cream, and you want ice cream. So
Yeah.
So you're the guy getting. Wait a second. You're the guy buying a dozen donuts
And ice cream.
and soft serve, huh?
you know, I run a lot. Yeah, I really do.
You have to.
And by the way, Casey sponsorship, that would be nice. I mean,
Oh,
Ooh,
Just
yeah,
throwing
maybe
that
shout
out there.
out to
I think we
Casey's.
should tag them in the description.
I do too. That'd be great.
How many tracks a year have you averaged the last few years?
I would say on average probably anywhere from 130 to 140. On
Yourself?
average. Yeah, so that's with me and Gary going
Okay,
together.
okay.
So that's total tracks of what we'll do.
Wow.
So yeah, there's some days we'll do upwards of 10 to 12 tracks. You know, it just depends. We never know how long each track's going to be or how far we got to drive to the next one. We try to do it logistically as possible.
How does that fit into your life?
You
know what I mean?
So
Jeff and I did your wedding.
Yeah.
What, a year ago?
yeah, August, yeah.
August. Yeah.
August 21st.
So
So I kind of led Tara. We dated for 2 years and was engaged, and so she's seen 2 years of this happening. You know, broke her into this. This is what.
that's a
I
key
did.
word. Broke.
And actually, she enjoyed it. I mean, it's stressful to her for me to be gone and then not know where I'm at half the time, and worried and stuff. You know, those kind of things.
that was
You're
before.
kind of accident prone.
Yeah, yeah.
Or things follow you around. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and that's
What year was it? You were on your way to church on your motorcycle
Yeah, 2016.
2016.
and got smashed.
Yeah, and I did, and that ended up being pretty bad. Of course, you know, we talked about the maggots and the infection and stuff. But,
Oh, gosh.
Folks who don't know this story we got to back up a moment.
Oh, that's gross.
Maggots.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
This is
so
uncomfortable.
it's not bad enough to get smashed by a car on your motorcycle. Your right leg,
Yep, right leg, correct.
right?
that one's had a rough few years.
There's more to that story that you don't know
Multiple
about. this thing.
surgeries,
Yeah.
pins, the whole thing
Yeah,
wired
so-
back together. Missed a tracking season,
Yep.
which was rough.
Yeah, it was right. September 18th, I think, was the day it happened.
Right. And then the leg isn't just that it's crushed; it gets maggots in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, but as you said, I'm out a whole season, and that's a bummer thing. You know, it's like I
He's gonna
train.
roll past- He's going to let that lay. He's not going to talk about it.
But I got pictures. We can show pictures.
No.
But you know, you train with your dog, and you work yourself up to that certain time of year. You know, those 3.5 months of bow season and hunting season, and then you're out. I knew I was sidelined. There's nothing I could do. Just totally, very demoralizing. You know. And why it happened, I don't know. You know, everybody says you was burning the candle at both ends, and maybe the good Lord is trying to slow you down a little bit. I don't know, but I know one thing that did draw me closer to Christ at the time. You know, it did. I was flat on my back and picked up the Bible and read the Bible a lot more at the time and stuff, and helped me through that. You know, but then flash forward the following season, we come out and had the best tracking season ever. Tons of great stories, tons of recoveries, best ever, just unbelievable.
I'm trying to remember that you tracked one for my son. that ended up being your longest track even yet to date?
52 hours old.
Was that 18 or? I don't remember.
Somewhere around in there.
About 2018. I could go back and look at the pictures. Well, I'll do
So
that while we're talking.
What did I nickname you back then? It was the patient preacher.
Don't want to lie.
He was calling me all the time.
See,
When
that's
are you coming?
different than the nickname we use.
Well, you might have to enlighten me on that later.
So Ron, how long have you been tracking, and what made you get into it in the first place?
So this would have been our 10th year. You know, we have these. I'm not wearing one now. I'm wearing the hoodie actually, but we created these shirts, Decade of Dio.
Right.
10 years of putting bucks in trucks. So it's been 10 years.
Okay.
And that's when I got Dio, and we started doing our thing. And the reason we got into that was just a mishap I had one year, and that was probably 12 years ago. But shot a big buck in the evening and thought I put a good hit on it, and we tracked and tracked and tracked. And I really don't think, looking back at it, I don't think it was mortally wounded. It was probably a high back hit, but we tracked, and I felt horrible. You know, and I'd lost a few deer in the past, and I did know that tracking dogs were legal in Illinois. I had a friend that did it, Dan Hilly, and we got together and I started training. But essentially it was from shooting and wounding that deer. It just ate at me so much. And at that point I'd been a bow hunter for 26 years and really gave all that up. You know, I worked this dog, I trained this dog, Dio, and I told myself, if I want to have the best dog I could have, I'm going to have to quit bow hunting. And just hung the bow up and strictly went straight time tracking. So that really helped, I think, you know, with us doing that all the time.
I think you're being a hunter and the passion you bring to the pursuit of the deer. I mean, to me, that's what's special. I mean, Dio was, I told you a little while ago, you're good, but he was special.
He was a character of his own. He was something else.
The dog was so incredibly driven. I remember when I'm looking for the picture still here, but when we finally got, I'll be careful what I say here. I don't want to tell people where we were. We got permission to cross a property line. Let's put it that way, and pursue this deer that we knew by that time most likely coyotes had found and stuff, but still wanted to complete the story.
Get the closure. Yep.
Yeah. 52 hours. We crossed some set aside, which, you know, we as people have a hard time tracking through. The dog just lights up. Mm-hmm. And then we hit an open field, and Dio was running, pulling.
Yeah.
You know, this has been over 2 full days.
Yeah.
Just absolutely an amazing
Conditions
creature.
were well that day. That helped us a lot and stuff. And it's amazing to watch a dog do that. You know, in our mind, to comprehend how that dog's doing. It's just unreal. You know, the things that a dog can do sometimes.
Dio was special. You lost Dio back
July 31st, last July, and that was it's been a rough year actually this year. I lost Teddy early on in January, which was Dio's son, and he had got poisoned, you know, and we knew his life was probably going to be shortened, and we got 6 years out of him, and he was kind of the backup dog behind Dio, and we did do some tracks with him. He was finding deer, but Dio was the A dog. He was my main dog. If a hunter was going to call me, that was the dog I was going to take, the best dog I had. So we lost Teddy in January, and then just all of a sudden, just crazily, it just happened one night. Dio passed away. You know, I seen him 10 minutes before he passed. He's perfectly fine. Go around the shed and find him dead. You know, and it really hurt. You know, I just couldn't believe it. You know, and to give CPR to somebody that you love. You know, I love that dog. I always jokingly say, he was a son I never had after having 3 girls, you know, and you saw the bond that me and Dio had. And that's part of a relationship. If you've got a working dog, you establish such a great bond, you know, and we did. You talk about the drive that he had, you know, and I'd have that drive too. We would feed off each other, and we could communicate without talking. I knew when he was on that deer. I could feel it. I knew by his mannerisms. And in turn, he would know when I'm upset. He would, you know, when you work a dog like that, you have to keep your cool, because when you're stressed, they actually get stressed. The level is there with that dog.
It's that connection.
It is. It really is.
Putting the pieces together, I'm realizing why when Ron brings Dio to a track later, that was 2018, by the way, that first one. In 2020, I think you brought him to a track. And that's why when he got out of the truck, he looked at me and he looked at you and was like, oh, no.
Here we go.
Knucklehead again.
We get a lot of repeat customers. You're not the only one.
A lot of repeat customers.
I think you've so preached that mantra of dead deer don't move.
Sure.
And wait, the importance of the wait. I think you have guys now calling you even though they probably could recover their deer.
It happens sometimes, and especially on a bigger deer where it's their target deer. They just don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
They want me there as backup, and I understand that.
But it's not just backup either. That may view it that way, but I think it's just something added special to the experience.
Oh yeah, we give them guys an experience sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, you had an experience a couple of weeks ago now that's really special. Tell us about what went down the morning you got shot.
Okay.
Actually, before you go there, if I could ask one question to lead up to that.
Sure.
So, I have never had you on a track for
well,
me.
look at that.
Oh, he's listen, yeah.
Mostly because I just don't shoot enough deer.
Right.
Clean misses are the best.
Clean misses only.
That's the best.
I'm too cheap to call you. So, no. Why would you call for a spike? That's what I think. No. So 2 years ago today, okay, I shot a deer.
Uh-oh.
And
I remember this.
I called you.
Uh-huh.
And the first question you asked me was, what kind of broadhead?
Mm-hmm.
How close of a shot? What way was the deer facing? Well, 2 of the 3 of those, you didn't like the answer. And you said you need to give him some time.
Yep.
But my question for you is, when a person begins the process of picking up the phone and calling you, what do you run them through? Then how do you establish, okay, that's a track I'm going to go on? And then how do you start that track?
Okay. Yeah, great question. So I do have a protocol. Just like you said, the list of questions I went through with you was how far the shot was, the angle of the deer, the elevation. So I'm not there for the shot. So I'm trying to piece this together in my head. And there's so many variables to that. If you're shooting a mechanical broadhead, sometimes they tend to deflect. And so your entrance can look great. But, I ask a pass-through shot. Mechanical.
Yeah, how do you feel about crossbows?
Oh, boy.
Keep going. Sorry.
Safety first. But anyway, a pass-through, ask those questions. And then more importantly is how long did you wait before you pursued the deer, And then how far did you go? What did you see on the track? Did you mark the point of loss well? And then importantly, have you gotten hold of the neighbors? If we're going to come and track this deer, we've got to have permission, and more than likely we're going to maybe be on the neighbor's ground. So those series of questions there. And then as far as when I take that track or what I decide on that is going to be the timeline. If it's a gut shot deer, and especially right now, a lot of guys don't realize, I'm getting these calls right now. These guys are shooting the deer in the evening and they're tracking them right away. And a buck right now with pre-rut going on, they're as strong as they're ever going to be. I mean, they're tough to kill already. But right now, they got all that fat and reserves on them. They're super tough. You shoot something in the evening now that's, you're not for sure, probably not a heart, probably not a double lung, or maybe is. It's best just to walk away from it and go in the daylight. As we said earlier, dead deer goes nowhere. And track that deer in the daylight and use daylight on your side. Gary was just out this morning for me and found a deer, and the dog was running the track really well and some real thick stuff. And the dog had stopped. Well, they stopped and was talking. Gary and the hunter was talking, and they was trying to figure out why the dog was stopped. And the dog was 10 feet from him. And Gary got to look and he said, "Oh my gosh, he's standing on the deer, eating the deer right now." So they was standing by the dead deer for like 5 minutes and didn't even know it. So
Wow.
at nighttime, you're not gonna see that thing, and they couldn't even see it in the daylight. So back to what you was saying, depends on the hit, and the timeline. And then the other thing would be our location where we're at the time. If I'm, say, in southern Illinois and they want me to go to northern Illinois, I just can't. I'll try to locate somebody else for them, another tracker I know. There's a network we started this year. It's called Illinois Deer Trackers Network. And I know a lot of them guys on there. So we network and we help each other out, help hunters out and stuff through that. So basically it's a timeline deal, the injury, and then where we're at in location.
Because you just cannot go everywhere. You told us a little while ago you had 6.
There's 6 on the line today so far.
6 on the line today, and this is November 1st.
November 1st, yeah. And I expect this, and it's really crazy. So I'm going to try to really document someday here in November, or probably can this year. Usually I can't because I'm on the road and trying to do this stuff. But now that I'm kind of laid up, but between my phone ringing and then I got text and then I've got my personal Facebook account and then I got Slifer's Bloodhound Facebook Messenger as well. To be honest with you, I bet you there's days in November we'll get over 50 people trying to get a hold of me.
Wow.
Next time I need you, I'm just going to show up.
Show up.
Get out of bed, Ron.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So let's say that, you know, the hit is something you feel confident with.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave it at that. And you decide you can fit it into your schedule. You decide to show up. You get out of the truck, and how do you begin that process with a hunter? What's that look like?
Oh, well.
His phone's ringing right now.
So forgive me, but I've got to celebrate a little bit. So Gary's out. He's already found one. He's just found the second one.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
So
Why are we recording a podcast November 1st?
We're going to find that out in a moment.
but that, I mean, this with my injury and stuff and being laid up, I forgive me for looking at my phone, but I saw it was Gary, and it's like I knew that was good news. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a highlight of my day. Really, you know, it really
He's
sparks me
running
up.
Jewel now.
Yeah, Dio's daughter. You know, and that she's 3 years old, and this is her official first season. We've taken her out on a few tracks before, but she's
Seems
taking
to
the
be doing
reins.
great.
She's doing good, and yeah. So you know, I'm blessed. You know, really blessed that you know. Eventually, I kind of mentioned you guys. I know we're getting off the topic a bit here, but I've talked about writing a book, and I think I will. And I don't want to end that book on that note of Dio dying. You know, that's a bad note. So we'll carry that last chapter into Jewel, his daughter, doing what she's doing now, in the book that way. If I can get this book wrote, I've never wrote a book before, but you guys have read some of my Facebook posts before. They're kind of novels.
I can say you're an
Put
excellent
them
writer.
together, you're good to go.
Yeah. Just scroll through.
Yeah, but
Well-
anyway, back to your
Your story is
Yeah.
kind of go like this, though, Ron. This is just your personality. You get knocked down, but you don't stay down. You know, you stumble, but you keep going. And I think there's a good lesson there for people.
Yeah.
Right? Bad things happen. You get your foot smashed. You miss a whole season of what you love to do.
So
You work and get in shape, and you do it again.
yeah,
You know, you lose Dio you loved,
yeah.
and you mourn that, but then you step up and you hunt with Jewel.
Yeah, you know, I just had this discussion the other day when I was hurt when I had the motorcycle wreck in 16. It was. Remember being in the hospital, going down the hall in the wheelchair, and looking over at a door that was open to a room, and there was a guy strapped to a bed, and the bed was turned over upside down, and he strapped this bed facing the floor. You know, and it's like put you in perspective. You know, I mean. Felt horrible for the guy, but I thought to myself, I'm not that bad. I'm hurting and leg infection and a lot of things going on. But this guy here, you know, look at him. He's in a bed, and that's probably where he's at all the time. And they just revolve this bed. He looks up and he looks down. And it really puts things in perspective when you see that, you know, but.
Well, if people stayed with us this long, it's because they're waiting to hear this next part. So you get out of the truck, you start your process.
Yep. Met with the hunter. He called me the night before. It was his target deer. Beautiful deer. Had a big drop tine on it. Shot it in a food plot, about a 60-yard shot, I think he said, with a crossbow. Give it a little time. The deer run out of sight and into some CRP, which that CRP was probably waist high, big field of it. So he goes down after the shot, investigates, finds a broken bolt with blood on it, and then that's when he calls me. You know, it's like, this is the deal, tells me everything he just said. And I said, well, you can go track it in the morning if you want on your own, or we can come down. And he said, well, I'm definitely not, we was on the same page. He wasn't going to do anything that night. He just, if the deer was worth that, to give it, you know, all night. And he sent me a picture a little bit later, and I said, whoa, that's a nice deer. You don't want a chance at it. I said, you do what you want to do, but if you want us, you may want to say you want us, and we'll be down there on that, and we'll try to help you out. So we made arrangements, came down the next morning, got out, told him kind of the protocol, and once again, we, as usual, took a knee as we're harnessing up Jewel and said the prayers I usually do, always do actually, and started out on the track. And we started out where the broken bolt was, and Jewel was doing great. It was kind of a windy day, but she was doing great in the soybeans and on the blood, and we're cutting the CRP. And we're in the CRP, and it's really hard to track in that CRP stuff. I'm seeing that blood and the grass and the weeds, but she was on. You could tell she was on. Gary gets in there a ways, and we find a wound bed. Well, this is good. This is good. We're probably 60, 50 yards, somewhere in that on the track already. To find a wound bed, that's a good sign. Find another wound bed, and we're standing there on that, me and the hunter, watching Jewel work from that. She does a big circle, and what the deer had done, and she'd figured it out, it didn't go up ahead, it actually backtracked off that second bed, backtracked towards the woods, and we was finding sporadic blood leading to the woods. And I was videotaping at the time on my phone. We was starting a YouTube channel this year, and got a few things on there right now. It's kind of went to the wayside now, but I was behind Gary videotaping. The hunter was behind me, and just stepped in the woods. And all of a sudden, and I heard the crossbow go off, behind me. But I didn't realize it all happened so fast. But about that time, I tripped. I fell. It's like, well, what the heck? What did I trip over? There's nothing here. And when I tripped and looked down at my leg, and there that crossbow bolt was stuck through my leg. It had come through back behind by my knee, and there it is hanging out. It's like, a few choice words were said, of course, and kind of the weirdest thing, guys, is everybody said that had to hurt, and it didn't. I did not feel any pain at all. It's the craziest thing, and I know
you literally fell and didn't know why you fell.
Yeah, that thing took my leg out. The power of that thing, that bolt hit me. It just hit me like bam, and I went down.
So you didn't even feel it.
I didn't feel it.
That's crazy.
I heard the crossbow bolt. I heard the crossbow. That distinct sound.
Oh yeah.
But it was like pop, pop. It was so quick, but I did not feel the impact. I did.
Well, he was really close to you.
He was less than 10 feet. So, and why that thing didn't blow on through, I don't know, but it didn't. And so, kind of went down, kind of gathered my thoughts a bit, and then there was a tree over here to my right, and I scooted up to that and just propped myself up to it.
So at that point, like when it goes off, and you realize, like, how far is the dog ahead of you, and they're still doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
What time was this?
Oh, I'm gonna guess. I should know that, but I'm gonna guesstimate it was probably 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that.
So it was 8:45 when you got hold of us, I think.
Yeah. It might
I
have
got pictures.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought, I honestly, Ron, I don't believe half of what you say sometimes.
Yeah.
So whenever
You're a
I got the
jokester.
message, I was like, oh, this is an early Halloween prank.
Yep.
Like this, because I looked at that and I was like, okay, all he did was take a pocket knife, cut a hole in his jeans, and
Which
shove the bolt
he
through
would
that.
do. You would do that.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Yeah.
I would.
I thought
That's
Jeff
me.
was joking with me too.
Yeah.
Whenever he
I
showed
looked
that.
at that and I thought, that's a pretty serious joke, right? And I just laughed at you. Because you even sent another picture of it bandaged up with blood running down your leg, And
I was like-
somebody's gone to the effort of putting on medical gloves. I thought, man, you really took this one to the end.
It's that old story. It's going to come back and haunt me. The little boy that cried wolf. It's like that's what's kind of going on here, isn't
You
it?
are funny. And
When-
then Tara
yeah.
sent a message. It's like, you're kidding me.
So yeah,
That's
that,
real.
That's when we knew there was no joking around.
So and that was a tough call. When you call your wife and how do you break this to your wife? Because
How did you?
Tara's
Yeah,
pretty
how
emotional.
did you do that?
So I strategically planned that. I'm sitting there talking to Gary. I said,
Strategically.
I've got to relay this to Tara, but I just can't say immediately I got shot because she's going to go hysterical.
Yeah.
So I call her, and it's probably 5-10 minutes after the shot, and she answered, and I said, Tara, I need you to do a big favor for me. She said, okay, what is? She knew in my voice something was wrong, and I said, this is a huge favor. I need you to go home and do this for me. I'll do it. What is it? I said, I need you to go home and take a picture of the medicine I'm taking for my blood pressure. They're going to need that. What? What do you mean? I said, okay, now that I'm talking to you and I'm okay, I've got shot. I've been shot in the leg. I'm okay. That's why I'm calling you and talking to you about this. So rather than just break the news and I got shot with a crossbow bolt in my leg, I kind of worked her up to it. And it still wasn't easy for her to take, but I think it helped a lot, And she did. She went home. She got the picture and for me and sent that to me. So they had it, after they airlifted me off to St. Louis and stuff. And a buddy had loaded her up and took her to St. Louis because she just wasn't in the right mind.
We were jumping way ahead in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got shot. You fall. You don't know what.
Yeah,
Then
so
you're looking at a crossbow bolt.
you get to
sticking
a
out of your
tree.
leg.
Yeah, you get to a tree and realize what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so you're looking at, and like I said, no pain. I'm looking at this thing and it's like, this is crazy. And I'll be honest with you. I did grab a hold of it one time and wanted to yank it out. It's like,
Oh.
but it's instinctual. I think you
Sure.
just
Yeah,
want it
right.
out. And I remember Gary saying, "Don't do that. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
You're bleeding. Just leave it alone."
How bad were you bleeding?
Not bad on the top side, but on the bottom side where the entrance was, I could feel the wetness on my, running down my leg and stuff. And we'll get to it pretty soon, but I was bleeding pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a 2-inch cut.
What? Out of curiosity, so is Rage Broadhead?
Yeah. that it is.
Did
So
it
give us
open
some
all
back-
the way?
Did it open all the way?
It deployed.
So here's the backstory on this, why we asked this and laugh. He hates mechanical broadheads, right?
They're okay.
Now just tell the truth.
Just
I will tell the.
you're on the
not
church
not his
podcast.
preference. That's for sure.
So yeah, I dislike them.
But Ron, they work.
They do, and that's the thing.
Yeah, how was the blood trail that day?
So we've got this joke with the hunters, the tracker buddies of mine. They'll say, if you shoot one in the leg, you can chase it down with a dog and push it. If you got enough real estate and property, and finish that deer off. And that's what some of the guys saying. You should have pushed him. It's a leg wound. But
Flesh wound.
There it is again.
but back to the mechanical thing. The minute I say I hate it, they're not good. I'm not. The thing I see about mechanicals are they deflect. I've seen broadside deer get shot, and the arrow deflects and goes out the back of the deer when we find it. It's like that deflection's a huge thing, but they kill deer. But
So, I was kind of joking with you, but man, I think the Lord was looking out for you.
oh yeah,
And the way that thing deployed
so
on
absolutely,
your leg.
absolutely. So the broadhead went through my tibia, the biggest bone below the knee there of the two, and barely missed my knee joint. I mean, it just right below my knee, and went in,
2-inch
Yeah.
expandable.
stuck in there, and
But it went in
vertically. So
Vertically.
when it deployed, it opened up vertically versus horizontally. And I've seen deer, you probably have too maybe, that actually their legs have been shot off with a mechanical broadhead. So if you think about that, there's a femoral artery that runs down into some major blood vessels. We narrowly missed that. Had it open horizontally,
looking at the wound. It's right beside it.
it's right there. Right there. Incredibly close.
So
Did it have a bleeder on it? I didn't
No,
look.
no. Just
If
a
it had a bleeder on it,
it probably
would've
would
got
have.
it.
Yeah. Would
Wow.
have nicked it or cut it probably.
So Gary is
bleeders.
trained, right?
Gary's an EMT first responder for Sturtson. And I was at one time too down at Watson down here, and that's been several years back. But so I propped up against that tree, and I remember getting the chills a little bit, and that's just a sign your body's going in shock. But I kept talking back and forth to Gary. I could see it in Gary's eyes. He was studying me, watching my eyes, watching my complexion. I felt good with Gary being there. He was there. And
He's pretty calm
this
and
is a
collected,
total
dude.
accident. Honestly, I mean, I was more worried for the hunter than it was myself. He was just hysterical. He just shot me.
You actually said that in
Let
your
me read
message
you
to
your
us.
text because you probably don't remember this, but it says, "Guys, I was shot by a crossbow.
Cross bro.
Crossbow.
Crossbow.
Please pray for the hunter."
Yeah. Yeah, I just seen the.
There's an arrow sticking out of your leg. What are you thinking?
Oh.
Well, tell me why did you say that?
So he was behind me, the hunter, and he was just hysterical. He didn't know what to do.
I imagine.
I would probably, all of us sitting here would feel the same way.
Well, at
probably,
this point, he doesn't know if you're going to live, too.
No,
Yeah.
he's pretty serious stuff, and I did. I think at that time I thought it was going to be okay. Some time had went by, but he wouldn't calm down. We tried to calm him down the best we could, and that's why I kind of reached out to you guys. I knew what the torment he was going through, and I just, that prayer was going to help him as well as me, I know, but he needed it too, So, but yeah, we're sitting there against the tree, and the first responders probably show up 25, 30 minutes later I
They have
think you see
hard time finding you, or
actually, yeah,
Pretty easy.
well, it wasn't too bad.
They went to the POL, and they
Yeah, the point of loss.
yeah.
So no, we talked to the hunter. We heard the sirens coming, and we told him, "So okay, go out there and meet him on the road, and then lead him in here." And that worked pretty good. Unfortunately, it wasn't deep in the woods. We just come out of the CRP, we're right on the edge of the woods.
Okay, that's right.
First responders come in, and that picture I showed you, Gary first unscrewed the broadhead, and we didn't want nobody to get cut secondarily by the broadhead sticking out there. And then they wrapped it up and compressed everything so control the bleeding and stuff. And of course, they cut off my new Dan's brush gear, but there's already a hole in it from the rage. But that's protocol. They cut your jeans off and all that, you know. Get me secured and loaded up on the ambulance, and then the helicopter, like I said, since we're so close to the woods, Dave was able to land in the CRP.
Okay.
And didn't have very far to get me out of the woods or nothing like that. So that was a good thing there, and a blessing too, that we happened to be so close to that landing spot. You know, and that's crazy helicopter ride.
Flew to St. Louis.
Yeah.
A little procedure to fix it.
So yeah, get this. So there's a brace in there to maneuver into the helicopter on the gurney, and this brace is in the way because there's probably 12 to 14 inches of the bolt sticking out of my leg, and I had to move my leg sideways and just barely squeeze into that helicopter. There's no room on this thing. It's very tight. No pain. That whole thing, the whole flight and everything, and then I'm laying on my back, and that broadhead is out of the bolt, and blood is coming. This is pretty graphic, gory. But blood is actually coming up out of that bolt and dripping out of that. I don't know how that happened, but they was looking in the back and said, "That's weird. Why is that?" Yeah. So
No passing out?
no, we'll get close to that. So they get me.
I'm about to go myself.
So we get, land on the roof. I think that's the first time I've been on a helicopter, and they land on the roof. It's got to cool down. And they tell me, said, they're going to bombard you with people the minute you get off here. And they did. They bombarded me, checked me out.
Word was going to the hospital, and everybody was like, no way.
And they didn't want to touch me out there at the scene. They didn't want to try to move anything on that bolt. Didn't know if it's nicked the artery or any veins or anything. So they just wanted to secure it and let them x-ray and do the CAT scan and see what the damage was. So I'm laying on the table in there, and they're prepping me out, and they have no idea what's in my leg. These are all city people. They're looking at this crossbow bolt and like, what is this thing? Because the broadhead's off of it, and it's like, they're just thinking it's a straight shaft in my leg, and that was it. So I had to Google what a crossbow bolt looked like and explain to them, now there's 3 veins and a knock inside my leg yet. It came through the back side. What you're seeing is the shaft, but this other stuff's up inside me yet.
Did you send them a bill for your consultation?
I need to. Or a discount.
Are you serious? They didn't know what.
No, they were city. They were.
Man, what does this world come to?
Oh,
So it buried all the way to the fletchings. The fletchings were inside of you?
yeah. It just
color
almost
were
a
they?
complete pass-through. If you was to see my leg that day, you wouldn't see the fletching, nothing, the knock, nothing.
Wow.
It was just buried into the bone.
That's wild.
And like I said, why it didn't blow through, I don't know. But there was a point there, I felt in good hands. I knew I was in good hands at that point, in a great place. And I'll be honest with you guys, it was a scary time because I told him, I remember saying to him, I said, I feel weird, guys. I feel weird. I just don't feel right. I'm getting cold. I feel weird. And I remember him looking at my blood pressure, and they said, oh my God, you're tanking. And they give me a unit of blood, and it brought me right back. But I'd lost so much blood at that point, my blood pressure was going. And I actually called Tara at that point because I didn't know. Even though I knew I was in a great place, but when you get to that point where you feel weird and it's not right, and then you're hearing them say your blood pressure's going, it really freaks you out. And you want to talk to the one you love the most, so I was calling her, and I was crying then. But it was weird. That the minute they put that unit of blood in me, I'm back. I'd lost, to that point, I'd lost a lot of blood, but I was in a great place at the right time. Everything was done right. They flew me out, they secured me at the scene, and it's perfect.
That's what I'm saying. You were as unfortunate as you were blessed, because any turn at all on that broadhead,
Oh,
and you lose so much more blood.
Yeah. So the 7th, here in a few more days, I'll go get these stitches and staples out, and we'll know more as far as soft tissue damage and stuff like that. But you see me, I'm walking on it, It hurts a little, but they told me that. They ended up putting 2 screws in there. The bone actually split, so they had to put 2 screws in it to hold it tight. Those will probably be permanent, I guess, but the fact that I'm weight bearing, and they said weight bear to the most you can, I just picked up and started walking about 3 days after the fact without a walker, so.
It's a funny part of the story. The surgeon actually is opening it up, and
Yeah, so
there's a light glowing in his leg.
Yeah,
What's wrong with this man?
That really freaked him out, which it would.
I bet.
If they didn't know, they're in there cutting around digging. It's like, why? There's a light inside here,
Glowing.
So the lip knock, I don't know what that was. I know it was a Raven crossbow bolt, so whatever they put on there is a good knock. I'll testify to that.
Waterproof, lead-proof.
And there's the scary part. They're opening me up and digging in there, and that's a lot to be in your body. Infection still rings in my head from the last time, but we're good. So far, we're good. And I think we're over that hump. I think. So now it's just to figure out the soft tissue damage and stuff like that.
So the excitement is all over. You're headed home.
So the next day,
The excitement is
It's
not
just
over.
not over. This is Ron Slifer we're talking to.
only you is what I hear all the time. But so they're saying to me the next day, if you can do these things if you can stand up and walk up a step and walk for us, we'll let you go home. That's all I needed to hear. It's like, you told me what I need to do. I'm going to do it. I want out of this place.
Yeah.
So I end up, the guy come in and the therapist, and I did the things, and I said, okay, we'll dismiss you, and they give me the orders and stuff. And that was around noon. Finally, by 7 o'clock, we're getting out of the hospital. For whatever reason, it took forever to get out, and sometimes that happens, I guess. But so we got a minivan, and I'm wearing dark sweatpants, probably this same hoodie maybe. And it's 7 o'clock, dark at night, but there's lights underneath where we're at the hospital. And Tara opens the door, and the seats are folded down. And I slide in. I'm laying there on the floor. We're getting ready to go. I thought, we forgot something in the room. And Tara said, well, I'll run up and go get it. So she pulled the van up, left it running. It wasn't unoccupied. I was in there, But anyway, pulls the van up, pulls it off the side out of the way, and she's gone for a few minutes, and this guy gets in the van. And I'm like, whoa. Apparently he didn't see me. Obviously he didn't, because the tinted windows, and I'm laying on the floor. He just thought it was an unoccupied van sitting there running. And whoa, what are you doing, dude? Oh, I'm security. I got to move your van. You can't let it sit here. Yeah. You're security with your hat on sideways and baggy clothes and smoking a cigarette? No. It's like, so I'm in a pickle now. Because he's moving the van.
What's running through your mind at this point?
It is, what do? Do I really call this guy out now? Or what? So I'm a little weird, freaking out here. It's like, he's not security. I know he's not. So I'm raising up.
He knows he's not either.
And the guy was so cool about it. That's what's crazy. He just belted that line out like it, because he didn't know I was there.
Because he'd done it before.
Yeah. He's probably done it before.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm laying on the floor kind of, and then I raise up. And I realize he's pulling out on the main road. He is going on the main road. He looks right. And so I was like, man, am I going to call this guy out? I can't defend myself. Really, I'm in a bad shape, and I don't know where he's going. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. I'm going for a ride.
Do you have a phone or anything with you?
I do.
Okay.
But you're sitting there trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
It's just, so I start telling him my ordeal. It's like, dude, man, I've had a heck of a day. Yesterday I get shot with a crossbow and it's in my leg. I go through the surgery, and now I don't know what's going on, where you're taking me, and just kind of kept it light. Didn't want to escalate. And
You're playing this cool.
and I'm scared. I was scared. I ain't gonna lie, because
I feel like you'd be the last one I'd want to raise up in the back of a van.
I definitely caught him off guard. So what had happened was he went down, took a ride out of the hospital, went down, and I don't know if you're familiar with Barnes, but
I
he
know
ended
exactly
up
where you're talking
pulled
about.
right into Children's Hospital, okay, and stops right there on the main road and just puts it in park and jumps out and takes off running.
Security.
So that raises red flags. People see this and that's what security told me. There's bicycle cops. I guess that's what they are. They're right around bicycles. They're security. But they come about 3 minutes later, and they open the door, and there I am laying, and I told them what happened. And said, yeah, well, somebody had saw this guy get out of the van, run off, and leave it running in the intersection, so it raised red flags. And so they're wanting me to ID this guy, and I can't, because he never turned around and looked at me. I could kind of describe his clothes, and that was about it. But the crazy thing was, so Tara had no idea. She had no idea. Think about Tara. She's coming down now out of the room.
Van's gone.
Hey,
Van's gone.
I'm doing okay again. But
Yeah. And, as we talked about, I'm kind of a joker, and that's kind of what she thought at first. But then she thought,
Of course she did.
but then she thought there's no way he can't
Yeah.
with these legs. There's no way he can get up in that front seat, and then panic sets in.
poor woman.
So,
I've
yeah.
been saying that for years, though.
I got a theory about all this.
What's that?
No,
Oh boy, you can tell me afterwards.
I don't. Will she get offended if I say maybe she had a hit out on you,
You know,
and then she paid a guy to kidnap you?
no,
First
just
cross-
keep coming back.
The crossbow didn't work, and so now she's
can't
on
get
to
rid of
plan B.
So when you're laying around and you got time and your mind kind of goes off, I thought you need to step it up, girl. Who you're paying? You know, these guys ain't worth a crap.
This is not professional work.
This guy, the hitman, couldn't finish me off, and then the guy kidnapped me. He chickened out. He couldn't get rid of me. You know.
He chickened out.
But I think it was some humor on it. You know, I texted a buddy and told him what was going down when all this is kind of going down, and his reply was the best. He said, "Dude, you just about ended up on a milk carton, you know, a missing person, you know, on a milk carton." And that puts it in reality. Like, I know we're laughing about it now,
Oh yeah.
you know, but this could have went way south in this situation. 2
'cause
days.
You would have had a hard time defending yourself.
Oh, so
Well,
at the
you get
point,
you get turned around down there,
Oh.
and you don't know where you
Well,
are.
and those guys did just pull a gun on you, and you're done.
and when he jumped out of the van, I'm thinking, what's running through my head is he got buddies over here. He's going to load up in the van now,
Oh yeah.
you know, and come back and really work me over.
You're not very many blocks from a lot of problems right there.
Yeah. So, and, like I said, I
spot.
think it just was such a shock. He wanted to steal the vehicle, but he didn't want no part of the kidnap. I kind of put a wrench to that.
If he would have hooked a left, you would have been in a whole lot more trouble.
Oh yeah.
As soon as you went over
gone.
the bridge,
Yep.
you're gone. Yeah.
And yeah, you're familiar with it. But
Yeah.
her purse, Tara's purse, and her cell phone was right there, in between the seats. I mean, that guy didn't. He was just gone. He didn't want any part of
He
it.
didn't want any part of it.
So very lucky there. But poor Tara, you know, I'm trying to get a hold of her. And then I realized, well, there's her cell phone. It's like, oh no, how's she going to get a hold of me? She's probably freaking out, you know?
Uh-huh.
And luckily there was a guy there, an older gentleman that saw she was pretty distressed and asked her, and she borrowed his phone. And I had this weird Missouri phone number come through, and I thought, well, either it's a track call or it's Tara. She borrowed somebody's phone. So I answered, and it was my wife. She borrowed this guy's phone and got
So
hold.
what'd you tell her?
I told her what had happened. Said, you had me kidnapped. You left the van running. No. Told her what had happened, you know, and she was pretty distressed. You know, she was freaked out. But
Yeah, I bet.
security was able to hook us up back together, and they was all like, they was just bewildered. That was a first for them. You know, they're scratching their heads. It's like, this has never happened. We've had vehicles stolen, but never had anybody attempt to
In
kidnap.
them. Yeah.
And they was going to charge the guy with that. If they could have found him that night, it was going to be vehicular theft and attempted kidnapping, which they never did catch the guy as of yet. It's still under investigation, but there's cameras all over that hospital. I think they know
I'm
it.
sure it's on video
Yeah,
somewhere.
they told me that they'll be able to ID him. Whether he'll show up again's the other thing, or whether they can
Yeah.
find him. So yeah, 2 days of adventure there. That
What a life, Ron.
Yeah, I told you before we started, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to, like sit next to you. Might get shot or kidnapped, or maybe both. So
just yeah, you can't. I was interviewed on WAND TV, and I think I said it on there right towards the end. It's like, you just can't make that stuff up, and just 2 days of unfortunate events. We laugh at it and we play it down, but it's like it was serious.
Yeah.
Either one of those could be life-threatening.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy to sit here to share the story with everybody and stuff, and happy to see you guys, and happy to have my donuts to eat,
There you go. What I really think is cool about this, Ron, is like just when I when I first met you, and who you are today has changed because of your growing faith.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And so
Yep.
yeah, I mean, like thinking about 4 or 5 years ago when I met you to today, I think you would have handled the situation you've walked through a lot differently.
Oh,
then.
by no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind, definitely. Absolutely, 100%. And I'm thinking about saying the prayer and stuff, and it kind of flashes in my head that there was one incident where we recovered a deer for Chris Lanier, our buddy.
Oh yeah,
in
yeah,
Missouri,
Chris. Yep.
and it just moved me so much. So we found his deer Bigley, and I remember Chris stopping and saying, "Okay, guys, we're going to pray over this deer." And there was half dozen other guys on that track. Half the town came on that track with us, I think. But we're
Chris
standing.
is an awesome dude.
Yeah,
Man
very
of
awesome. But Chris led us all in prayers. We're standing over this deer with our heads bowed in the middle of the wood. Half dozen grown men, and man, that just profoundly affected
So
me.
there's a moment right there that's important, for our perspective on things. That guy took a risk.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he didn't view it as such, but for a lot of us, that would have been a risk to look like some
Step out. Yeah.
faith guy.
Yeah,
right? So he just said, let's pray.
Yeah.
But look what it did to you. Just that simple thing.
Oh, I'm telling you. So stepping back a few years, when I started tracking, I didn't pray before these tracks. I just went and did them. And then it became like, okay, I started growing my faith. So I'd ask the hunter, I would ask the hunters, and nobody never said no. A lot of them said, I've been praying all night already. But so I would, but I would ask. And then as another year or two went by, I said, I'm just going to do this no matter what.
Yeah.
They're calling me. This is my track. I'm going to do this.
You came and tracked for my daughter, and that was the thing she remembered about that track was we stopped and prayed. And I was like, yeah, that's what we do, and she'd actually, whenever I showed her that picture, she's like, oh, that's the guy that came tracked and we prayed before we went on the track.
That's awesome. And if I can reach somebody that way, that's awesome. I know even just a prayer or two sometimes, and saying that prayer, and we're on the track and I'm staying back with the hunter and Gary's doing his thing, it leads into discussion with the hunter. We're out there in the woods and they're opening up some pretty personal stuff, or they're share their testimony or when they were saved. Mm-hmm. It's pretty awesome stuff.
We had those banquets, and one of our big pushes in that was just to communicate. You can be a real manly man, an outdoors guy. You can do all these things and have faith, and that faith matters, right? You don't have to get rid of all that stuff if you're going to be a follower of God. It's just, you take that with you as a part of your life, and it affects you on a daily basis.
100%.
That's important to note. And I kind of joked with you before, like, did you pray on this one?
Yeah.
When you got shot?
I didn't pray hard enough, did I?
We don't know what the answer to your prayer was, because I know you pray for safety on these tracks.
Absolutely.
So you didn't die.
No.
The broadhead opened vertically. Did God? We don't know.
You can't. You don't know. And that's what people say. Well, the motorcycle accident, when you had that was just, you was burning the candle at both ends, and it was to slow you down. And this was the same way. I don't know if that's true, but I can tell you this, that it's a testimony I can sit here and talk about. And I know just from what happened to me and telling the story that I know it's going to prevent this from happening again from somebody else. Mm-hmm. So I network with, this is an Oklahoma t-shirt here. It's a Blood Trackers Association in Oklahoma. So most of these states have a network. And I've had people from all over, due to social media, but they'll reach out to me. I've gotten phone calls, personal phone calls, hey, I'm changing my protocol. We're not going to allow crossbow bolts in the bow and the bolt crossbow anymore.
Mm-hmm. May save somebody's life.
Yeah, it may have saved somebody's life or an injury, So, again, out of that something bad, we'll make something good of this,
Mm-hmm. I think people have a perspective sometimes, and it's maybe we faith people promote this, but like, to pray is to get a result that we're seeking. Yeah. And you don't necessarily get the exactness of what you think is the right answer when you pray something, but you're getting an answer.
Oh, yeah.
You may have got that protection, or if at the very least, and I don't say this like it's not important, but you went through all this crap, but you went through it knowing you were all right with God.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
And I got to thank my mom. I did that a couple of years ago. I said, Mom, I hated Sunday school. You dressed me up and drug me by my ear to Sunday school, but had you not put that foundation in me, that's what it was. I mean, my mom did that. She dragged me to church, screaming and crying. And that was enough foundation somewhere where, as I got older in life, I realized, I've got to have God in my life.
Got to have that.
Mm-hmm. So thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
What's next for Slifer Bloodhounds?
So Gary's out running the dog. He just found another one. I'm going to send him out on another track, here pretty soon. So we're going to let that continue until
we wrap this up so he can go.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So we'll get the stitches out November 7th. Get a little more info on that, and just pray for a safe season yet, and just ride the season out and
You gonna get to go again?
I'll probably go in the truck, sit in the truck, and help a little bit, and I'll definitely be the dispatch, writing things down, the calls as they come in, and figuring out where we're going to go next. I'll be a part of the action. I won't be out there physically doing it. I can't see myself doing that, but I really want to. But it just depends on what the doctor says on the 7th.
I got one picked out, same spot as that 52-hour track.
All right.
Where was that again?
He's got repeat customers happen.
We'll put you in a deer cart and get you on site.
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
Oh.
but yeah, I miss it a lot, but I'm I'm here to I'm sitting on the sideline things are good. It makes me feel so good that I've trained Jewel to see her do what she's doing, and to know that she's part of Dio. It's like I miss that dog immensely, and it just to know he's carrying on through her, kind of, you know, the story continues through her, the legacy, if you want to call it that. But for me in my life, that means a lot, and she's helping others. You know, you guys know when you injure a deer and lose it, it's a horrible feeling. It's part of hunting, unfortunate, and part of it. But man, when you get that closure and you find that deer eventually or something, it means a lot. You know, and that. So we're helping some people there, you know, and stuff, and relief. And I think the one he just found was a kid's first buck.
Oh wow!
You know, it's not only the big bucks that are awesome. Everybody likes the big bucks, but you can't describe that feeling. I remember when I first started tracking, there was a young girl in Shelbyville. We did a track for her. It was at night, and she was right on my heels. Her and her dad, and we're doing the blood trail. And I looked ahead. Dio stopped, and I looked ahead and put the light on, and I said, "I think he's got it." And just the gasp from that young girl, she. Just like that, he did. You know, I get goosebumps talking about that. Seriously, that's
awesome.
The big bucks are awesome, but that'll never leave my head. You know, and that story, that young girl will tell that story to her kids and whatever. You know, and a lot of these deer that we put on the wall, these trophy deer or any deer, there's a story to it. You know, that this dog did this for me, and that story will be told. You know, it's just so cool. You know, I never ever dreamt that it would become what it was, and I'm blessed in a lot of ways. It just. Through Dio, you know, I owe a lot to that dog and life we had. And like I said, eventually maybe we'll write a book, you know, and I hope to do that. So,
yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Hey,
We're going to put your contact info,
Yep.
like you don't get enough calls already, and all that business. But probably throw some pictures in.
Okay,
Right?
yeah, we can do that.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks for
it.
inviting me, guys. It's always good. Always good.
Thank you for watching.